All right, let's dive into interview prep today for a gas scheduling representative position.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a vital role in the energy world. Think of them as the air traffic controllers of natural gas, right?
hmm
Making sure everything flows smoothly through those pipelines, getting the gas where it needs to be exactly when it's needed.
Keeping the lights on, basically.
Exactly. And you, our listener, you're smart. You sent us some sample interview questions.
Oh, good thinking.
Yeah. So today, we're going to break them down, help you craft those killer answers that'll make you shine in that interview. We'll also be tapping into some great insights from RoleCatcher's Career Guide for gas scheduling representatives, just to give you that extra edge.
All right, sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
Okay, so first question up. Can you explain your understanding of the gas scheduling process? Now, I know this might sound basic,
Yeah.
but it's a golden opportunity to lay down a solid foundation and show them you really get the fundamentals.
Right. And this is where clarity is key. Don't get bogged down in technical jargon. Imagine you're explaining this to, I don't know, a friend who has no clue about the energy sector.
But I like that. Keep it simple, make it relatable.
Exactly. So how would you approach this? I'd break it down into clear steps. You start with forecasting, right? Figuring out how much gas is needed. Then there's nominations, customers placing their orders, basically. And of course, you've got to confirm those deliveries with the suppliers.
Making sure everyone's on the same page.
Right. Then comes the actual scheduling. This is where you allocate the gas and make sure it flows through the pipelines in the right amounts at the right times.
So it's kind of like planning a huge party.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. You need to know how much food and drinks to order, who's coming, when they're arriving, and confirm everything is in place for the big day.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've nailed the basics, you've got that down. But then the interviewer throws a curveball. They ask, what are some of the tools or software you're familiar with for managing this whole process?
Ah, yes. This is your chance to shine, to really stand out.
Show off those tech skills.
Exactly. Now's the time to drop some names. Things like energy trading risk management systems.
ETRM.
Yeah, ETRM. Or pipeline management systems. These are industry standards. And if you've got experience with a specific system, go ahead and mention it, but keep it focused on what those tools do.
Which is?
Managing those nominations, tracking those deliveries, making sure the pipeline's running at peak efficiency. So yeah, definitely highlight those skills.
Okay, so you've mastered the basics of gas scheduling. You've shown, your way around the software. And then, bam, the interviewer hits you with this. Can you describe a time you had to handle a scheduling conflict? How did you resolve it? What's your strategy here?
Okay, this one's all about problem solving. They want to see how you handle pressure. Can you think on your feet?
Yeah, those high-pressure situations.
Exactly. So have a story ready, a real-life example from your work experience.
So something specific, like a situation you actually faced.
Exactly. Something that shows you can think critically, communicate clearly, and work with different people to find a solution.
Like, what if there's a sudden pipeline maintenance issue?
Yeah.
Or a huge spike in demand?
Exactly.
Or maybe someone messed up a nomination?
Exactly. Walk them through your process step by step. How did you spot the problem? What did you do to get all the information you needed? Who did you have to talk to?
And don't forget about the outcome.
Oh, absolutely. Did you solve the conflict? Did things work out in the end? And what did you learn from that whole experience?
Right, because that shows you're not just solving problems, you're also learning and growing from those challenges.
Exactly. That's what they want to see.
This is brilliant advice. It actually reminds me of something I read in RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
Oh, yeah.
They really stress the importance of strong analytical and problem-solving skills for this role. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI comes in. This is pretty cool. You can actually upload the job description, the one you're interviewing for.
Oh.
And the AI will analyze it and tell you exactly what skills the employer is looking for.
That's really helpful.
Yeah, so let's say the job description emphasizes experience in resolving scheduling conflicts. Well, guess what? You'll want to make sure you highlight that story about the pipeline maintenance issue front and center in your interview.
Makes sense. You're basically speaking their language, showing them you've got what they need.
Exactly. Okay, on to question 3. How do you prioritize gas scheduling requests when you have multiple demands to juggle? Now, the career guide mentions that gas scheduling representatives often find themselves in these high-pressure situations.
Yeah, it's a fast-paced role.
Right. Lots of things happening at once. So the interviewer wants to know, can you handle the heat?
Can you juggle all those demands?
Exactly. So how do you convince them you're the ultimate multitasker, the juggling champion?
Right, so this is where you show off your ability to make tough decisions. Start by emphasizing safety and compliance. Those are non-negotiables.
Got it. Safety first, always.
Always. Then you can talk about how you assess the urgency and importance of each request. For example, imagine a hospital needs gas for their operations.
Oh, yeah, life-saving stuff.
Exactly. That's going to take priority over, say, a non-essential commercial customer.
So there's a system. It's not just random.
Absolutely. And be ready to give concrete examples. Have those stories lined up. Maybe describe a time you had to prioritize multiple requests, the factors you weighed, what steps you took, and how it all turned out in the end.
Showing them you've actually done this, not just talking about it.
Exactly. And remember, communication is key. You need to be able to explain your decisions clearly and respectfully, even when you have to say no.
Right, because you're not just a scheduling machine, you're a diplomat too, making sure everyone feels heard and understood.
Exactly.
Now, before we move on, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about RoleCatcher's AI analyzing those job descriptions. Can you tell us a bit more about how that actually works? This is fascinating.
Sure. So RoleCatcher uses this cool technology called natural language processing. Basically, it can read and understand the meaning behind the words in a job description.
So it's not just picking out keywords.
No, it's actually getting the context, the skills, the qualifications they're really looking for. And then it gives you this detailed report highlighting the skills that are most important for that specific role. It's super useful.
So knowing those key skills, how can someone use that information to really shine in their interview?
Well, once you know what the employer's prioritizing, you can tailor your answers to emphasize those skills. For instance, if the job description stresses strong communication skills, you want to share those examples of how you've communicated effectively in tough situations.
So you're basically giving them what they're looking for, hitting those key points.
Precisely.
That's incredible. Okay, let's get back to these questions. Question 4 is about data accuracy. How do you ensure the accuracy and completeness of gas scheduling data? And this ties in perfectly with what RoleCatcher highlights about the need for meticulous attention to detail in this role.
Oh, absolutely. Accuracy is paramount in this job. Any mistake in the data could lead to disruptions in gas supply, big penalties, even safety hazards. They want to know you understand how crucial this is and that you've got systems in place to prevent errors.
Right, so how do you approach this question?
Emphasize a multifaceted approach. First, highlight your attention to detail. Explain how you double-check everything. Scrutinize nominations. Verify every piece of information before you hit that submit button.
So you're showing them you're meticulous.
Exactly. Then talk about leveraging technology, how you can use software to help you catch potential errors.
Like specific programs.
Yeah. Mention any specific software or systems you've used for data validation. Maybe you've worked with software that flags inconsistencies or pipeline management systems that cross-reference nominations with capacity limits.
And if you haven't worked with specific software, you can still emphasize the importance of using tech for data accuracy.
Absolutely. You can say something like, I'm great with spreadsheets for data analysis, and I'm eager to learn and use any industry-specific software that boosts accuracy.
That shows initiative. Now, what about those follow-up questions? They might ask you to describe a time you caught an error. Put you on the spot.
This is your chance to showcase your vigilance. Pick an example where you spotted a mistake that could have serious consequences if it slipped through. Explain how you found it, what you did to fix it, and what you learned from the whole thing.
So it's not just about finding the error. It's about showing you can take action and prevent a disaster.
Precisely. And if your actions had a positive impact, like preventing a delay or saving the company money, definitely highlight that.
Great point. All right, on to question 5. This one really highlights the fast-paced nature of the job. How do you handle unexpected changes in gas demand? RoleCatcher's Career Guide mentions you might even be on call 24/7 for emergencies.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They want someone who can think on their feet and adapt quickly.
So how do you show them you're the calm in the storm?
Focus on your adaptability and problem-solving skills. You can use the STAR method.
SAR method.
Yeah, situation, task, action, result. Describe a specific situation where you had to deal with an unexpected change. What was your role? What actions did you take? And what was the result?
So like finding new gas sources maybe, or renegotiating delivery schedules, or coordinating with pipeline operators to reroute the gas.
Exactly.
And highlight the skills that helped you handle the situation. Maybe you're a great communicator, able to coordinate with different teams, or you're super creative at finding solutions to minimize disruption.
Exactly. It's not just about what you did, it's about showcasing the qualities that make you valuable in those high-pressure moments.
Got it. Now, before we jump into the next question, let's go back to that feedback feature on RoleCatcher. Can you tell us more about how that works? Because I think our listeners would love to hear more about this.
No, it's a fantastic feature. You can actually record yourself answering interview questions.
Really?
Yeah, and RoleCatcher's AI will analyze your responses and give you feedback on the content, your delivery, even your body language. It might suggest adding more specific examples, improving your eye contact, or projecting more confidence in your voice.
Wow, so it's like having a virtual interview coach.
Exactly. You can practice as many times as you need until you feel confident and ready.
That's incredible. That's a game changer. I wish I had that when I was starting out. Okay, let's get back to those questions. Question 6 focuses on the regulatory landscape. How do you ensure compliance with regulatory requirements? And this is an area where RoleCatcher's Career Guide emphasizes the importance of staying current with the constantly evolving regulations in the natural gas industry.
Absolutely. The industry is heavily regulated, and for good reason. Safety and responsible transportation are paramount. They want to know you understand the rules and are committed to following them.
Okay, so how do you tackle this question?
Start by showing you know the key players, the regulatory agencies. Like mention the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC. They regulate interstate pipelines and wholesale sales.
Okay, FERC. Got it.
And the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, PHMSA. They set safety standards for pipelines.
So knowing those names, those acronyms, shows you're familiar with the regulatory landscape.
Exactly. You don't need to go into a ton of detail about each agency, but mentioning them shows you understand who's who. Then talk about your approach to ensuring compliance. Describe specific procedures you followed, like reviewing and implementing new regulations, doing regular audits, and documenting everything.
So showing them you're proactive, always on top of the regulations.
Exactly. And if you've used any compliant software or systems, definitely mention those.
Like, I've used software to track changes, manage documentation, and automate reporting.
Perfect. That shows you're not just aware of compliance, you're actively looking for ways to streamline the process and avoid errors.
Okay, and what about those follow-up questions? Like, what if they ask you to describe a time you had to adapt to a new regulation?
That's a great chance to show you're adaptable and a quick learner. Choose an example where you had to learn a new regulation, implement new procedures, or maybe train others on the new requirements. Talk about the challenges, the steps you took, and the positive outcomes you achieved.
So it's all about showing you're flexible, willing to learn, and committed to staying compliant even when the rules change.
Precisely. They're looking for someone who takes initiative and is proactive, not someone who needs to be told what to do every step of the way.
Got it. Okay, I think we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive into gas scheduling representative interview prep. We've gone through 5 key questions, talked about potential follow-up questions, and even explored how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that personalized edge. Feeling pretty good about this.
Me too. I think our listener is going to be well equipped to handle those interview questions.
Absolutely. But we're not done yet. We've got more questions to tackle, more insights to uncover, and even more tips on how RoleCatcher can help you land that dream job. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive.
Can't wait. Welcome back. Ready for more interview prep.
Oh, absolutely. We're on a roll. I'm feeling super pumped for our listener. Let's jump right back in, shall we? Question 7, here we go. This one's a biggie. How do you ensure the safe and reliable operation of the gas pipeline? And as RoleCatcher points out in their career guide, safety is absolutely paramount in this role.
It really is. This question gets to the heart of the matter. It's not just about numbers on a screen. It's about a critical infrastructure system, real-world stuff. And there are inherent risks. They need to see you get that, that you're proactive about safety.
So how do we best convey that? Do we go deep into technical procedures?
You know, while the technical stuff's important, this question is more about your mindset, your approach to safety. I'd say structure your answer around 3 key areas: prevention, monitoring, and response.
Okay, I like that. 3 pillars. So let's break those down. What about prevention?
Talk about sticking to those safety protocols, doing thorough risk assessments, making sure all maintenance is top-notch. Mention ongoing training, too, staying up to date on the latest safety regulations, the best practices. You could even bring up industry certifications if you have them.
Yeah, showing them you're not just following the rules, but actively trying to make things even safer.
Exactly. Now, for monitoring, it's all about vigilance, being proactive, catching those potential issues before they become big problems. Talk about your experience with monitoring systems, things like SCADA systems.
SCADA.
Yeah, they track pipeline conditions or leak detection tech, pressure monitoring tools. Highlight your ability to analyze data, spot those red flags, and jump into action when you need to.
So like being a detective for the pipeline.
That's a great way to put it. Always on the lookout. And then there's response. The interviewer wants to know, do you have a plan when things go wrong? Talk about safety drills, emergency response procedures, coordinating with emergency responders, all that.
So you're not just preventing accidents. You're prepared if one happens.
Exactly. Prevention, monitoring, response. 3 pillars to show you get it. That you understand pipeline safety. That you're committed to the well-being of the public, the environment, your colleagues.
Okay, that's powerful stuff. Now let's switch gears a bit. Question 8. How do you measure gas scheduling performance? This one taps into the analytical side of the job, something RoleCatcher really emphasizes.
Absolutely. Effective gas scheduling is about efficiency, minimizing costs, making sure those deliveries are reliable. You've got to track key performance indicators, those KPIs. Use data to make things better. The interviewer's looking for that data-driven mindset. Can you use metrics to show your impact?
So what KPIs would a gas scheduling representative track?
Lots of important ones. On-time delivery rates. That's huge. Are you meeting those customer deadlines? Pipeline utilization. Are you using the pipeline effectively? Then there's nominations accuracy. Are those nominations coming in correctly and on time? And don't forget customer satisfaction, feedback surveys, that kind of thing.
It's all about getting that gas where it needs to go, when it needs to be there, and keeping everyone happy in the process.
You got it. But don't just rattle off the KPIs. Explain how you'd use them to make things better. Say you see a dip in on-time deliveries. You dig into the reasons why. Make some process changes to get things back on track.
Turning data into action. I like it.
Exactly. And this is another spot where RoleCatcher's AI shines. It analyzes those job descriptions and can tell you which metrics matter most to the employer.
So if the job description is all about optimizing pipeline utilization,
Right.
you highlight your experience with that specific KPI.
Right. You're speaking their language, showing them you understand their priorities.
Smart. All right, moving on to question 9. How do you manage stakeholder relationships? This one seems to emphasize the collaborative side of things.
It does. Gas scheduling representatives, they don't work in a bubble. They're interacting with all sorts of people. Pipeline operators, suppliers, customers, regulatory agencies, even their own internal teams. The interviewer wants to know you can build those relationships, communicate effectively, handle those complex dynamics.
So how do you convince them you're a team player, a master collaborator?
Start with communication. Highlight your ability to be clear, concise, respectful, both when you're speaking and writing.
But it's not just about transmitting information rights. It's about listening, understanding different perspectives, finding that common ground.
You nailed it. And don't forget conflict resolution. When you've got lots of stakeholders, there are bound to be disagreements. Explain how you handle conflict constructively.
Like maybe facilitating a meeting, getting everyone together, encouraging that open dialogue, finding a solution that works for everybody.
Exactly. And if you've used collaboration tools or software like project management platforms or communication apps, mention those too.
Especially in today's world with remote work and everything.
Absolutely. Technology can be a huge help with communication and collaboration. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can help here too. It can analyze those job descriptions and pinpoint the specific collaboration skills the employer is looking for.
So if building consensus is a big deal in the job description, you highlight that experience in your answer.
Right on. Tailor those responses.
Okay, let's wrap up this part of our deep dive with question 10. How do you stay up to date with industry trends and best practices? This one speaks to the dynamic nature of the energy sector, always changing.
Absolutely. The natural gas industry is constantly evolving. New technologies, regulations, market shifts, it's all happening. They want to know you're committed to keeping up.
So how do you show them you're a lifelong learner? Always on top of your game.
Highlight a mix of things. Talk about reading those industry publications, online resources. Maybe you subscribe to newsletters, follow blogs, participate in online forums, lots of ways to stay informed.
And it doesn't have to be boring.
Right, learning can be fun. And don't forget about networking, conferences, professional organizations, connecting on LinkedIn, great ways to learn about the latest trends.
So it's about engaging with the community,
Yeah,
not just sitting alone reading articles.
exactly. And if you've got any certifications or professional development courses under your belt, mention those.
Like I just finished certification on pipeline safety, and I'm taking a course on the latest gas scheduling software.
Perfect example. It shows you're investing in your skills and knowledge, that you're serious about staying at the forefront of the industry.
Okay, I think we've covered a ton of ground in the second part of our deep dive. Some really tough questions. And we've highlighted how RoleCatcher can help you shine. I'm feeling super confident for our listener right now.
Me too. They're going to walk into that interview room feeling prepared and ready to impress.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're not done yet. We've got one more part to this deep dive. We'll wrap things up, give our listeners some final thoughts and strategies for success.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
And we're back. Final part of our deep dive on how to ace that gas scheduling representative interview.
It's been quite a journey, but I think we've armed our listener with some powerful strategies.
Oh, absolutely. And as we've been talking, it's really hit me how this role needs a unique blend of skills, right? You need the technical know-how, the communication skills, and that knack for problem solving. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. But it's also a super rewarding field. If you're the right fit, you can really make a difference. Keep the gas flowing, keep things running smoothly.
And speaking of finding the right fit, let's talk about RoleCatcher one last time. We've touched on its AI throughout this deep dive. Can you give our listener a quick recap of how it can help them prep for this specific interview? Just those key points.
Sure. RoleCatcher's AI, it's like your personal interview coach right in your pocket. It can analyze that job description you're looking at, pinpoint the skills they want, and give you personalized feedback on your answers.
So it's not just general advice, it's tailored to you.
Exactly. And remember, you can actually record yourself answering those common interview questions.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And RoleCatcher analyzes it all. Content, how you're speaking, even your body language. Like, it might suggest adding more specific examples or working on your eye contact or projecting more confidence when you speak.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like having a mock interview with an AI expert.
Precisely. And the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. RoleCatcher can even help you figure out your strengths and weaknesses so you can focus your prep. That's so helpful. I wish I had that when I was starting out. Okay, let's wrap this deep dive up with some final thoughts. What's your top advice as our listener gets ready for their interview?
Do your homework. Research the company.
Oh, yeah, good one. Don't just skim their website.
Right. Look at their recent news, their social media, understand their mission, their values.
Shows you're genuinely interested.
It does. And it helps you tailor your answers to what they care about.
Okay, what else?
Have some good questions ready to ask them. It shows you're engaged, you're curious.
Like what kind of questions? Give us some examples.
You could ask about their company culture, their plans for growth, or even the specific challenges and opportunities of the gas scheduling representative role.
Oh, I like those. And it's important to remember, an interview is a two-way street. It's not just them evaluating you, you're evaluating them too.
Look,
is this company, this role, the right fit for you?
exactly. It's about finding that win-win.
All right. Any final words of wisdom for our listener before they go out there and crush that interview? Believe in yourself. You've got the skills, the knowledge, and the drive. Now go out there and show them what you're made of.
I love it. So to all our listeners out there prepping for their big interview, remember, you got this. We're cheering you on. And hey, if you're looking for that extra edge, check out RoleCatcher. Their AI-powered platform can give you that personalized support to help you shine. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Best of luck with your interview.